What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC football channel here at the Voice of College Football. We're continuing to break down the FPI rankings for each SEC team, and we're going to look at Texas A&M. Texas A&M, the number 2 team out of the SEC according to the FPI. I think most people would probably disagree with that. Georgia seems to be that clear number 2 team. Some people would even have Georgia at number 1. But Texas A&M actually number 2 in the SEC in these preseason FPI rankings. All of you, I'm sure, know what the FPI is, but if you don't, it's the Football Power Index from ESPN, and it's based off of 20,000 simulations where they average things out. They go through the entire season. They go through the regular season and the conference championship games, and then they share those results. So Texas A&M, number 6 in the country according to the FPI. They have a 19.7 FPI, which means against an average team on a neutral field, Texas A&M would win by 19.7 points. If you're wondering about average, think Colorado. Colorado is kind of the average team according to the FPI. So their projected record based off of these 20,000 simulations is 9.6 and 2.7. So we're talking 9-3 or 10-2 most likely for Texas A&M. But again, that does also include a potential conference championship game. So I would say, 10-2 is probably the projection for this team according to the FBI. 9-3 maybe, somewhere in that range. How about going undefeated? Only a 2.2% chance for Texas A&M to run the table, go undefeated, and that would include an SEC championship game. And I do wonder what the FBI, what the percentage would be just on the regular season, because you're talking about a regular season that includes Alabama and LSU, yes, but the schedule is not horrible for Texas A&M. But then when you add in a potential conference championship game against maybe Georgia, who is going to more than likely be a top 10 team, maybe a top 5 team, that I think is going to really lower that percentage. So I would love to know what that percentage is just for the regular season, but unfortunately they do not share that information. But again, only a 2.2% chance for A&M to go undefeated this year. When you look at Alabama, LSU, potentially Georgia on that schedule, you can see why it would be really tough for this team to go undefeated. But they don't have to go undefeated to make the college football playoff. We'll talk about that in just a second. 6 wins or more, 99.8% chance. So it is pretty much a guarantee that Texas A&M will at least make it to a bowl game in 2021. How about winning the division, winning the SEC West? Only a 22.2% chance for this team to win the SEC West. This is actually, that's not a horrible number when you consider Alabama being the favorite in the West, and Alabama's percentage is 63.4%. So Alabama is by far the favorite to win the SEC West. It's not even close. So to have a 22.2% chance when you've still got teams like Auburn and LSU in this division, those are pretty good numbers. Auburn and LSU are actually pretty low, though. Surprisingly, Mississippi State is at 8.3%. They have the 3rd best chance to win the division according to the FBI, which we'll talk about Mississippi State later. But again, if it's not Alabama, the FBI seems pretty confident that other team would be Texas A&M at 22.2%. I think they've got a great shot. I don't think Texas A&M has a better chance than, say, LSU. Maybe a slightly better chance because they don't play Florida. But again, that's a pretty good number. I think Texas A&M fans have to be happy with 22.2% when you're playing in the same division as Alabama. How about winning the SEC? A 13.4% chance to win the SEC championship. That's a little bit more than half than the win the division percentage. So that would mean that they would give them a little bit more than a 50-50 shot in the SEC championship if they were to make it there. 13.4%, again, is a pretty high percentage in my opinion. I think that is, you take that if you're Texas A&M. You look at other teams in the SEC. Alabama's at 51.3%. Georgia is at 22.9%. So even though Georgia is ranked behind Texas A&M, they have a better chance to win the SEC according to the FBI, simply because of the fact that they have a better shot at getting to that game because they don't have to go through Alabama. And that is a big reason why A&M's percentage is lower, because they are in that same division with the best team in the country according to the FBI and Alabama. How about making the college football playoff? A 25.8% chance that Texas A&M will make it to the college football playoff. I think that is a very nice number if I'm an A&M fan. You know, over a 25% chance that they get in there. And again, they have a look at the win the division percentage there. They have not a much better, but they have a better shot at making the college football playoff than they do of winning the SEC West. That tells you how tough the SEC West is. And it also shows you a path for A&M to make the college football playoff without beating Alabama, without winning the division. So you lose that game to Alabama, you win the rest of your games. Texas A&M is going to have a really good case, a really good argument to make it into the college football playoff, just like they did last year. If you remember, that's exactly what I predicted to happen. I thought A&M would lose that one game to Alabama, thought it would be enough to get them into the college football playoff, but those predictions were made before we knew the Big Ten was playing, and Ohio State obviously changed that up. But if Ohio State had not played, if the Big Ten had not played last year, Texas A&M would have been in the college football playoff. So a 25.8% chance, a really good chance for A&M to make it into the playoff. How about making it to the national championship? A 10.3% chance that this team makes it to the national championship. So not just making it to the playoff, but making it one step further. That's under 50% of the 25.8% playoff percentage, which means they would be, if they did make it to the playoff, the odds would be that they would lose that first game, but it's not a huge difference there. You know, halfway would be 12.5%, 13%, whatever. That's a pretty good percentage. Again, if I'm a Texas A&M fan and you tell me you have a 10% chance to make it to the national championship this year, I think you take that. When you look at all the other contenders, all the other teams that have a shot, 10% is not bad. How about winning the national championship? A 4% chance to win the national championship. So again, less than 50% of the 10.3, which means they would more than likely lose if they made it to the national championship, but still a 4% chance to win it all, to win a national championship in 2021. That's a decent percentage when you look at, just some of the other contenders. If you want to compare that to some other teams, for example, Georgia's just a 2.2% chance. Ahead of them, we have Ohio State 7.9%. That's not a huge difference between Ohio State and Texas A&M. But Alabama is the favorite, 30.8% chance to win the national championship for them. But overall, I think the FPI did pretty good on Texas A&M. I don't really see any major complaints. Again, I think the win the division percentage is probably high just because it's going to be tough for anyone to beat Alabama. And I think the FPI is a little bit low on LSU, so maybe raise LSU up, drop Texas A&M a little bit. That percentage, I think, is a little bit high, but to make the college football playoff, I think that's actually a pretty fair percentage. Again, when you look at their potential path to get there without even winning the division, which is something that could absolutely happen this year, especially when you go back to last year and look at the fact that they were so close. I think the committee does look at things like that, showing that you can do it 2 years in a row, showing that you are an elite program. Could make a difference. We'll see. So what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree with these FPI rankings? What do you think about Texas A&M? Give me your thoughts down in the comments below.